Hi guys, this is Greg Doyle for Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat. It is prediction time. A fight I want to talk to you guys about takes place Saturday, the 26th of February. It is for the undisputed £140 super lightweight title. It is between the champion, Josh Taylor, who is 18-0, and he takes on his mandatory challenger, Jack Catterall, who is 26-0. Guys, first of all, just want to say thank you so much for coming back, tuning into another video. On these videos, as you know, I will give you a background into both fighters, I will give you my keys to victory, and finally, I will give you my prediction. Okay, so let's start off with the champion, Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is 18-0, undisputed champion. I have been at a lot of Josh Taylor's fights coming through from when he turned professional. Probably the most impressive one for me that I was in attendance at was the night that he beat Victor Postol. That was a really, really tough fight. Victor Postol has still borderline proven himself still to be at world level now. And when Josh Taylor fought him at the time, I thought it could be a step too far, although it was within Josh's grasp to win the fight. But that was a hard fight, and you know, one that I really think stood him very well to go forward in his career. Other great notable victories are ones over Ivan Baranchyk, Regis Prograis, and most recently to win the undisputed title against Jose Carlos Ramirez. He takes on his mandatory challenger, Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall, as I say, is 26-0. A few really good notable victories towards the beginning of his career over a fighter like Tyrone Nurse. Good win at that time. Most notable wins now, and his best ones on his record, would be Tyrone McKenna. And the best one for me would probably be O'Hara Davis, who he beat on a unanimous points decision. Some of you guys may remember a few years ago, O'Hara Davis also fought Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor stopped him in the 7th round. Guys, if I can move over onto keys to victory. Keys to victory in this fight for me, if I start off with Josh Taylor, it has to be fast, sharp combinations. I think Josh Taylor is at his best when he throws fast and sharp and in multiple numbers. For me, he has to do that throughout the fight, but he also has to stay smart behind a sharp southpaw jab. Keys to victory for me for Jack Catterall. I think Jack Catterall has got to frustrate Josh Taylor into fighting him. I think if it's a boxing match, then Josh Taylor probably will win relatively wide on the cards. But if he can draw Josh Taylor into a fight and make him feel uncomfortable, as he's also a southpaw, I think his best chance to win this fight is to catch Josh Taylor on the way in and frustrate him. Basically get in his face, make him think that he's not hurting him, because we know that Josh Taylor can get a little bit angry in fights, can lose his mentality a little bit, but he's always found a way in the past. But for me, that would be Jack Catterall's best way, is to frustrate him, get him into a fight and catch him on the way in. Guys, if I can go over and onto my final prediction. This might seem relatively straightforward for a lot of people, but there's a few things that I don't think that people are talking about that they should. Josh Taylor's now 31, he's 5'10", and he's still making £140, 10 stone. That cannot be easy. That has got to be difficult. And you know, I thought he looked a little bit tight when he fought Ramirez. I thought even before that he looked a little bit tight against Prograis, but they haven't really affected his performances. But how long can you keep doing that? How long can you keep going to the well and making that weight before your body says, I have to step up? That taken into consideration with, is he really motivated for this fight? Yeah, it's in Scotland. Yeah, he's got every title at 140, and he'll be walking to the ring extremely proud in front of all these home fans. But is Jack Catterall the name that he wants? Is that the kind of guy who is going to make him put on a superb display? Possibly, yeah. But for me, I've got a few doubts if that will be the case, because when you're getting fights like Regis Prograis, Jose Carlos Ramirez, you're then getting linked with Terence Crawford. To them, with all the greatest respect to Jack Catterall, that's the name that you have to fight next. sometimes you can take your eye off the ball, and I don't think there's a lot of people who would blame him if he did. But I suppose if you are a professional undisputed champion, then you have to take every fight as it comes. I see a Josh Taylor win, but I'm also very aware that when you fight guys that you aren't extremely motivated for, especially if it's a Scotland and England derby, for example, if you look at Alex Arthur, Nicky Cook, for me, Alex Arthur was a much better fighter than Nicky Cook, but the weight killed Alex Arthur and he lost his world title and he didn't look great. And sometimes these fights, they end up not being the spectacle that they should be because of certain politics, whether it's weight, a rivalry, you let things get to your head. But my prediction is for Josh Taylor to win. I think that he could stop Jack Catterall in the second half of the fight. I think Jack Catterall will stay tight in the first half of the fight and give Josh Taylor limited options and try and take it down the stretch. But overall, my prediction is for Josh Taylor to find a way and win this fight and retain his 140 pounds titles. So my final prediction, Josh Taylor to win in the second half of the fight or win a wide points decision. Guys, Greg Doyle, Eat, Sleep, Box and Repeat. Please check out all of our social platforms. Please subscribe down below. I'll be back to speak to you guys again soon. Take care and thank you.